Hey guys, welcome to the GI Justin channel. Thanks for tuning in today. I want to talk to you about some stuff that I think is really earth-shattering when it comes to everything we've been trying to talk about for the last couple of days. Uh, that kind of spirals into what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. What we've been talking about since I started the channel, and basically tie all this together, connect all these dots, and bring everything into focus. So the U.S. government every year releases this intelligence analyst that is basically a huge analysis of everything we currently face as a nation that could be a problem. And they released it today, and the cascade effects of what they're saying we should expect to see are it's nightmarish proportions. I mean, it really is. The things that they're saying are a lot. So I wanted to take today, talk about some of the secondary effects, and also break this thing down in a way that is easily understood so that I can explain this to y'all and you can understand more thoroughly and easily what the threats are facing America today. So this report comes from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. They released their annual threat assessment, and basically the primer for this says these strategic challenges will intersect and interact in unpredictable ways, leading to mutually reinforcing effects that could challenge our ability to respond, and that could also introduce new opportunities to forge collective action with allies and partners, including non-state actors. So basically, what they're saying right off the jump is these foreign countries are organizing against us. And that's something we've touched on for the last couple of weeks, is that Russia and China are forging an alliance with these foreign countries against us because they know individually they can't beat us, but collectively they become a real problem. So they begin the brief with a discussion of China, who is, of course, the most important power in East Asia. I mean, no one is even near their standing when it comes to their ability to control and manipulate that portion of the world. So they're basically saying that the plan for China is to undercut U.S. influence by driving wedges between Washington and her partners. That's something they're currently doing right now. They're trying to force us to look bad in front of our peers so that they're not as interested in working with us and not as interested in partnering with us around the world. And you're starting to see that with Germany and France starting to back away from the deals that we have with them when it comes to Ukraine and what we're willing to offer. So China's leaders probably will seek opportunities to reduce tensions with Washington when they believe it suits their interest. So again, that's where you see these photo opportunities where Joe Biden is with them talking about the way forward and making things better and decreasing tensions and improving trade. They're only going to do these things that suit them. They have no interest in legitimizing their situation with us, and their entire goal is to strengthen their prominence in the region and their prominence over us. I mean, that is their entire focus. Officials warn that China may build on its actions from 2022 in including more problems in Taiwan, either through aircraft or missile overflights. We're seeing this already. So this, intelligence analyst that put this together is spot on. It's something we talked about yesterday. There have been 3 overflights in the last 2 weeks where they are testing the waters, so to speak. And if you haven't watched that video from yesterday, I encourage you go back and take a look, because yesterday we talked at great length about China and what they're doing. So the problem with Taiwan and why we are unwilling to give it up so easily, according to our intelligence analysts, wide-ranging effects including disruption to global supply chains from conductor chips, because Taiwan dominates production of the cutting-edge chips. Like I said yesterday, and again, go watch that video. There are several companies, the most of which is known as Taiwan Semiconductor. They make the best semiconductor chips on the planet that everyone, including Apple, uses for their smartphones and computers. As for China's military, the intelligence community said Beijing is accelerating the development of key capabilities that it believes they need to confront the United States in a large-scale sustained conflict. And their efforts are designed for deterring U.S. intervention in Taiwan and include building weapons of mass destruction and biological chemical weapons. Great. So they're already, I mean, we've already connected the dots when it comes to coronavirus emanating from a Chinese laboratory. They're doing this testing. It's testing to see what can they get away with and what can they do. Obviously. I mean, it's something that they are well known to be doing and have been doing for a significant amount of time. And obviously they've gotten away with it. So Beijing worries that bilateral tension, U.S. nuclear modernization, and their advancing capabilities have increased the likelihood of a first strike from the United States. Their heightened confidence in their nuclear deterrent is bolstering their resolve and intensifying their desire for conventional conflict. It's weakness. They believe we're weak. They believe they're strong. They're wrong. We are strong, but with this cohort they've created, are we strong enough? I don't know that we are. So, moving forward with this assessment, China is central to global supply chains in a range of technology sectors, including semiconductors, critical minerals, batteries, solar panels, and pharmaceuticals. Chinese dominance in these markets could pose a significant risk to U.S. and Western manufacturing and consumer sectors if China is able to leverage their dominance. Again, they are playing chess, we're playing checkers. We try to win these small little deals with them, and they're cornering these critical markets. Tesla needs lithium. Perfect example. Where are they going to get it? China doesn't care about the environment or any of those things, so they'll strip mine the universe if it means they can make a bunch of money off of it, especially off of American companies. China's use of a sophisticated array of covert, overt, illicit, and licit means to soften U.S. criticism, shaping U.S. citizens and policymakers at all levels of government to their will. So basically, they're saying, their ability to leverage the internet and leverage propaganda is causing these problems with us, where we don't have the ability to think for ourselves. They're doing such a good job of, I mean, for lack of a better word, counterintelligence, where they are doing these things wrong, but then hopping on Facebook and convincing us that what they're doing is right, and we're buying it because that's what we do. We believe everything you see on Facebook. China is capable of launching cyber attacks that could disrupt critical infrastructure systems within the United States, including oil and gas pipelines and rail systems. The list just goes on, and obviously shows that China is our greatest threat. China is rapidly expanding and improving its artificial intelligence and big data analytics capabilities that could expand beyond domestic use. People, we are giving them every single thing that they need. Everything they need to fight us, we're giving them. Look at your phone right now. Do you have TikTok? Guess what you're giving them? That information. Which is why, again, TikTok is a national problem, and here we are downloading it left, right, and center and just making content and letting our kids watch whatever while they're garnering all the information they can. Delete it from your phone. So next, they begin to talk about Russia. Russia remains a formidable but less predictable challenge to the United States in key areas. They probably do not want direct military conflict with U.S. and NATO forces, but there is a potential that it could occur, which shows that everything with Ukraine, they've done a very focused job of making sure that they are not violating those red lines that we say they cannot. I mean, they haven't accidentally hit Poland. They haven't attacked any other NATO states. They're riding that fine line and not making these mistakes. Officials assess that Russia will continue to employ military, security, malign influence, cyber, and intelligence tools to undermine our interest while maintaining their strategic ties driven by their shared threat of perception of the United States with China. Again, we talked about that in the last couple of episodes, that we, by our support of Ukraine, are driving them into the arms of China. I mean, we just are. That is something that we are. Oh, dropped something here. Let me grab it. That is something that we are doing a very poor job of. We're forcing them directly to China for support, since we are overtly and covertly helping Ukraine. So moving on with Russia, China and Russia pose significant threats to the United States in terms of security collaboration, specifically arms sales, joint exercises, and diplomacy, where each country can use its veto power in the UN Security Council against U.S. interests. Interesting thought we haven't touched on before, but they both have seats at the UN Security Council. 2 votes is enough to veto something, so if we bring something to the Security Council, they have the ability to stop us from doing anything. Think about that. What do we do then? Now the UN is powerless. Just add another spoke in the wheel of their strategy against us. Russia maintains the largest and most capable nuclear weapons stockpile and continues to expand and modernize their nuclear weapons. Good, we don't have enough bad news on this topic. Russia presents one of the most serious foreign influence threats to the United States due to its intelligence services and influence tools that sow discord in the U.S. and influence voters and decision making. People, they are openly targeting us with propaganda. Facebook, Instagram, dare I say YouTube, absolutely everything they possibly can. They are very much weaponizing social media and the internet against us to sway your opinion away from believing that America is a great place. Take, for instance, all of these younger kids who believe that nationalism, capitalism, all of these things are evil. What is not evil? Communism, socialism, all these things that are absolutely antithetical to what we do as Americans. So moving forward, the analysis moves into Iran next. Surrogate networks inside the United States are an objective they are pursuing for more than a decade to create terror networks in America. Dog. Think about that. Neighbor dog. Officials say Iran is not currently undertaking the key nuclear weapons development activities that would be necessary to produce a testable nuclear weapon. Well, thank God for that. Thing is, what they will do is when these sanctions that we continue to apply continue to cause them strife at home, they may use that as a pressure point against us. It is something they have done in the past and something that I think they will do again. So they basically say from there that they are most definitely a threat to us. And then they roll right in North Korea, which is the next issue. North Korea is continuing its efforts to enhance its nuclear capabilities, targeting the U.S. and its allies. Their military will pose a serious threat to the U.S. and its allies by continuing to invest in its capabilities designed to provide Kim Jong-un with a range of options to deter outside intervention, offset deficiencies in the country's conventional forces, and advance their political objectives. They remain strongly committed to expanding their nuclear arsenal and maintaining nuclear weapons as the centerpiece of their strategic structure. The thought there is they know that they have a huge military, but technologically they're not on our level, so their intent is to create nuclear weapons so that what they can do is utilize nukes as a way to continue doing what they want to do without having to fight us conventionally, which, if you look at it from their perspective, is very intelligent. Get the trump card. If you can't fight us in a way conventionally, why not get nukes? It's the best way to bring us to the bargaining table and get concessions out of South Korea without a doubt. So very intelligently played. The next phase of this assessment that I when I was reading it originally, I kind of thought like, really, this is a threat. But after first blush, this actually 100% is a problem. Climate change. And I know I roll my eyes at it too. Climate change. Yeah, climate change. What they're saying here is, based on research, as temperatures rise and more extreme climate effects begin to manifest, there's a growing risk of conflict over resources associated with water, farming land, and the Arctic, saying that these tensions will also rise due to climate financing related to green energy. That actually does make sense. You look at states like California, Nevada, Utah, that are seeing epic droughts and a total lack of water. When water runs out, people will fight for it without a doubt. So that one actually makes 100% sense. And actually, I think definitely does exist as one of our major threats. So the next one they roll into is COVID-19. Countries globally remain vulnerable to the emergence or introduction of a novel pathogen that could cause a devastating new pandemic. I mean, obviously, you look at what we saw with coronavirus. What if that thing were much more lethal? What if it were lethal to the point that average people would die from it? What if countries like China are creating it and weaponizing it in that way? What if coronavirus was just the first evolution? Troubling, without a doubt. So they sum it up by discussing terrorism, saying that U.S. and U.S. interests face persistent and increasingly diverse threats from terrorism, such as ISIS, who is rebuilding their capabilities and trying to replenish their ranks, and will continue to inspire attacks against the United States. I mean, that's just something we're going to live with from now on, is terrorism. I mean, they're going to continue to do everything that they can, and just because it's not a hot button topic in the world's day and age, let me tell you, their love is not lost on us. They have no interest in America succeeding in any way. If they can, they will set off a dirty bomb anywhere they can get close to us. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. Uh, and the final piece of all this that I think is most troubling that they're not touching on, because in a lot of ways they're invested in it, is something we've been talking about for the last 5 days, and that is the central bank digital currency, where if you look at what all these countries are doing, we touched on this with Project Icebreaker, and I'm here to tell you, if you haven't Googled that, or you're not familiar with what it is, Google it and get smart on it, because that is part of what is coming. Project Icebreaker is a project created by a few countries to see if they could make central bank digital currency work across funding sources, across money, from pounds being transferred into dollars, Deutschmarks into francs. They want to make sure the infrastructure exists where they can effectively transfer it. And the problem we have here is you're seeing all these alliances created by all these countries, and digital warfare, cybersecurity warfare is at the forefront of what we're seeing in the world right now. It is, at least for our conventional and our nuclear forces, one of the biggest threats that we're seeing, because it's not like, helicopters used to be steam gauge. There was nothing on it you could plug into anything other than change out the battery. Those days are over. You can plug into aircraft and upload malware and download information and all of these things. So what happens when one of these malactors like China and Russia, who have proven that they have robust cybersecurity information and the ability to create malware and attacks, decides they want to reverse use Project Icebreaker and make the ruble 10 million% more profitable than the dollar in the central bank digital currency? What happens when they decide they want to completely devalue the pound because the English are not on their side when it comes to all of this evolving alliance structures? I think it's absolutely realistic, and that is something that they are focusing on. That's why this Project Icebreaker is so dangerous and troubling, because it puts us in a position of weakness where a foreign actor could come along and devalue our currency. What are we going to do? I mean, I don't see a way that plays well. So I think this assessment paints a very bleak and dire picture for us strategically throughout the world. At no point during this entire assessment, and I've read the entire thing, I just kind of gave you guys the Cliffs Notes to it. At no point do they in any way paint a rosy picture for us that says, yes, all of this exists. However, we have the military, the infrastructure, and the technology to fight them off. Several places it says we could face severe problems with some of these countries. And I think that's something that we have to take a very sobering look at, and look at very, very seriously. So just another brick in the wall, as they say, I think, in terms of looking at how are we going to manage to navigate the next 5 years, the next 10 years, or are we in full-fledged decline where it just the seconds are already counting down, we're already on our way out? I think it's a sobering question without a doubt. So, real rough day for me tomorrow. I've got to go to the dentist, get a little work done, so I may sound a little funny on the channel tomorrow. It's going to be a bad day, but we'll get through it together. So I want to thank you guys so much for spending 20-ish minutes with me discussing this intelligence analysis of the current world we're living in. And remind you guys, if you haven't already done so, down here in this corner right about here is going to be a circle with a little helicopter in it. That's the subscribe button for my channel. Go ahead and click that thing, turn your notifications on, do the works. Everybody says it. You know what to do. I'll keep providing you this content as long as you promise me you'll subscribe to the channel. I think we got a great deal on hand. Let's make it work. So thank you guys so much for your time today. I really appreciate the focus on what I'm trying to talk about. And I hope that you guys have an awesome night.